Welcome along, my name's Bosh, this is Bosh's Ableton Beginner Bits, and this is the first week back for a while. I've been away for a few months, well, I've been away for a month and a bit, just because August and September are really busy months for me music-wise. There's always gigs on, always stuff to be doing, and then those gigs, obviously I need to practice for those gigs and rehearse and get music and deal with all sorts of other things. But hopefully this is my return video. I've got one more gig coming up in a week, and then after that, I should be back on the videos full time. So yeah, this week I'm going to do dub percussion. We're going to look at percussion in general, what it is and how to use it. And then we're going to talk about some dub-specific percussion instruments and the best ways we can utilize them to add layers to our track and to make it sound a little bit more authentic. Now, before I get into it, I always have to mention buymeacoffee.com/BoshDubs. You can go there and support the channel financially. Any money that's sent through there will go directly back into the channel so I can make these videos better for you guys, basically. But more importantly is interaction. If you can interact with this channel, subscribe, like, share, watch the videos, comment, all that business, that is the most greatly appreciated bit. That is the thing that affects this channel the most and helps it get to other people like you who might want this knowledge, who are interested. I can't talk this morning, but who are interested in this kind of thing. So please support the channel and interact. With all that being said, let's get into it. My name's Bosh. This is Bosh's Ableton Beginner Bits, and today we are going to be looking at dub percussion. Now, I've got a loop here that I've made. I've spent this morning kind of putting this together. Tried to make it sound quite authentic. I've EQ'd a lot of the top end out and just made it sound a bit more like an authentic old school dub tune. So let's just have a little listen. All right, so pretty simple loop. There's a little bit of percussion in there, like this thing here. That is kind of percussion, I guess. So I'm debating whether or not to take that out while I do this. Let's just have a... Yeah, I think I'm going to take it out while I do this, and then I'll put it back in. All right, so let's just ignore that for now. Let's put ignore. Right. Okay, so for the percussion, the first thing you want to do is put a drum rack in, firstly. That's the main thing. You need to be able to put this percussion in somewhere. So I'm going to click on this, do Control-Shift-T, make a MIDI channel, drag a drum rack in there. And now we just need to go looking for percussion. Now, before we start looking for the percussion, I want to talk about what percussion is and what it does in a track. Now, percussive instruments tend to be instruments that have been hit with something, rubbed with something, anything like that. It's not a rigid definition, but I'd say anything that's being hit by something or with something is more towards your percussion kind of thing. So we've got bongos, congas, hand drums, triangles, percussion. What else have we got? The big like orchestral drums are percussion. I mean, drums themselves are percussion instruments. You've got things like cowbells, those kind of things fall into the category of percussion. And the way I use it is to kind of fill the gaps basically in my track. So I look at my drum track as like one block thing, and then I'll try and fill gaps in that. So at the moment, this drum pattern's quite... Just solo it. Yeah, it's nothing to write home about. It's really simple loop, actually, not just pretty simple. And then I would use the percussion to fill in the gaps between the kick and the snare. Now, the amount that you put in there, the amount of percussion that you put in there will change the feeling of the track. If you're doing it fast, 16th notes, it's going to give it a more rushed feeling a bit hectic. If you're giving it a more space between the percussion hits, it's going to give it a relaxed feeling, and it's just going to sort of add just a little layer, a subtle layer underneath what you're doing. All right, so that's what percussion is. It's impact instruments that you can use to fill out your track. So, without more waffling, let's look for some. Now, we know bongos and congas, all that kind of business. Can I let go? Bongos, congas, all that kind of business. Look, bongos. We've got some more interesting stuff. Yeah. Let's try a djembe. Now, your djembe is definitely a more African sounding thing, I'd say, like deep African sounding. Bongo's a bit more, it's a short hit, whereas a djembe's got that doing, doing. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to build a track so I'm going to build like one percussion track that's just one instrument, different sounds, and then I'm going to build another one that's separate, different percussion. All right, so the first one. Okay, let's get this. Now these are all obviously different djembes. Let's do that. I'm just going to use the single samples just to make it easier than chopping them all out. Let's put this one in. Now I am going to slice this up just a little bit, just get rid of that. And then we're going to copy this. I did control, click and drag there. Control, click and drag. All right, now I'm going to get the first hit there. That's not the first one, that's the second one. Then we're going to get the first one here. All right, so we've separated all these out. Now, let me just... I need to go down one on here. All right, so what I'm going to do with the djembe is now start to build a rhythm with that djembe. Now, I'll build the rhythm without listening to the drums first. And then I think it definitely is a better option to listen to the drums while you're doing it and drop them in so you can see what the rhythm creates. But let's start without listening to our drums. So I'm going to do... I want to go... do, get it. Get it. I'm going to do that there. See how this sounds. So that sounds, where's the djembe high hard? The rhythm sounds off for some reason. But it's not. Oh, that's why. Now, I've done exactly what I just said I wasn't going to do, which was listen to the track while doing it. So there was no point in me saying that. But yeah, this is so a simple loop. Yeah. Now, all I do here is click the duplicate button. And then just change this ever so slightly. Not too much. I'm going to put just one of these, just like there. This little one's a bit, it's too much. It's doing too much. All right. So that's one percussion loop. What do we need to do? Drums. Let's get rid of So I'm going to draw another drum rack. Okay, so in this one, we're going to look at the more, what is it, dub-specific drumming. So we've got our loop. Let's try, I'm going to try and do a faster one, because that's quite slow. It's nice, and it fits the groove quite nicely, but let's try a faster one. Let's try like a 16th note one. So what I'm going to do is just playing around here, just demoing, having a mess. And then all I want to do is drag. Maybe there's a better way to do this. If there is, I don't know it. It just means I'm moving all of them up one every time. I'm just selecting one less of them every time. See how this is going to sound bad, by the way. That's all right, is that? Okay. Oh, God, this is funny. Right, let's do... Okay, now what we need to do here is shuffle these a little bit. So you can see how, like, shuffling the second note. All right, so that's sounding hectic. That sounds mad. Just. All right, so what we're going to do now is strip it down. We're going to pull it back. So let's just go through. I wonder if this suits more to a steppers. Let's put 4 kicks in and let's see how that sounds. So yeah, it's a nice, it's not a bad little loop, but it's definitely lends more to something with a bit more of a faster pace. So we're going to go back to the original one. And then we're going to create another percussion track, and that's where we're going to add individual hits that aren't linked. So they're all djembes, they're all linked. And this is how I tend to do my percussion. If I'm doing bongos, congas, djembes, hand drums, anything like that, I will make one track of those, and then some things that are a bit more single hit, like your triangles, guiros, anything like that, I'm going to put on a separate track. So let's do that now. Control-Shift-T, MIDI track, drum rack, Ableton samples. Now we're going to go through 4 main, like, very dub-specific samples. Now, the first one is going to be the flexatone. You'll have definitely heard this. Once I play it, you'll know exactly what I'm on about. I'm just going to type in flex because it's all a flexitone or a flexatone, depending on who you talk to. Okay, so that's the unbent one. That's the boring one. And then we've got... Right, that one's quite understated, so I'm going to use this one. Again, I'm using all Ableton samples here. I haven't used any of my own samples yet, but I might do. Okay, so we've got a flexitone. I'm just going to put one in there. The next one is... Oh, what's the next? Let's do triangle. Triable isn't going to work. That's nice. Simple. All right, the third one is a woodblock. very commonly found in dub and reggae. And then the last one's a Guiro. Now the Guiro is like a long thing that you scrape. It's got like ridges in it, and you scrape it with a stick. Now there are some of those in Ableton. Let's just type it in, Guiro. Now that loop there, I think is my favorite one to use. So what I do is usually chop that up and then use the individual hits, randomly space them out a bit through my track. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to use one of my sample packs. Now, you can go to Bandcamp, you can go to TuneBat and get this sample pack. It's not free. I will say it's not free, but I haven't decided what I'm going to charge for it. As of recording this video, I don't know how much it costs yet, so sorry about that. If you do go buy it, thank you very much. It's much appreciated. But yeah, this is a pack I've made called Guiro Galore, or Guiro. I'm going to call it a Guiro for this video. And we've got 2 sets of samples. We've got Guiro 57, which is recorded with this microphone here, the PE57. And then we've got another set, the Guiro CM300, 300? I'm going to say 3000 then. The Guiro CM300, and they are ones that I've recorded with a contact mic that's been clipped onto the Guiro. So let's have a little listen at the difference. Yep, so these sound a little bit thinner. Let's go back to the 57. Bit thicker, they've got a bit more mic noise. You can kind of hear that they've been recorded with something here distanced to a mic. You can hear that in it. Okay, so let's put some of these in. Let's put this. Let's put them on a different line so we know where we're at. That. So let's do 2 of each. Let's do 2 of the 57s and 2 of the 300s. Let's do that. I'm going to cut it. And I want a long one. That'll do. Okay. So we've got flex tone, perk triangle, wood block, and some Guiro. Now what I'm going to do is place these in on a bigger loop. I'm going to do like a 4 or 8 bar loop. And then I'm going to drop these in at places where I feel like they fit. So we double click, make this. I'm going to duplicate twice. One more time. No, let's just do 4. Let's not get greedy. Let's not do too much. And then all I'm going to do is play the loop and put these percussion pieces in wherever I feel works. These are going to be a bit more spaced out. Flexitone there. Yep. Triangle. Now let's put that on the snare. Guiros in. Now I'm going to take them Guiros where they are, because I like them. Copy them to there, and I'm going to move them. I'm going to switch them around. on them. And now I've kind of forgotten about those djembes, to be honest with you. So let's listen to the two things that we've put in. All right, and then let's listen. All right, let's listen to them together. Now let's listen to it all with the drums. And then I'm going to put back in that shaker that I took out at the start. Layers. Okay, so now you've got plenty layers to mess around with for dubbing. So then what I'm going to do is just quickly line up these. All right. I'm using my controller, by the way. Turn all the delays on, and then we can just go nuts and let's put delay on as there. Yeah. And that's it. I mean, that is about it. That's about it. If I do much more than that, I feel like it'll get too much. But first thing to take away is the two layers of percussion. Pick a drum, a djembe, conga, bongo, whatever you want to do. Pick a drum and do one track of that. Make another track and add your individual hit percussion, your triangles, your guiros, your wood blocks, whatever else. Add them in there separately, and then you can bring it all together, and I'd say the thing to do with the separate hit percussion is to try and fill the gaps. So that's like dum, like so. I've put something in between the kick and the snare. Fill gaps, and you know what? I'm going to stop it there because I've lost track of what I'm trying to say to you. But percussion is super key in dub. It's a really cool thing to be able to add delays and reverbs to, because it just sounds really cool when it's delayed and reverbed. Right, I am actually going to leave it there now. If you want to get the Guiro sample pack, it is up on Bandcamp and TuneBat. If there's anywhere else you want me to put it, where you can get it, if you prefer a certain platform, I'll happily put it up there as well. That's fine. I've got 2 more sample packs to come as well. This is the first one. Links are going to be in the comments for that or in the description. All right, my name's Bosh. This has been Bosh's Ableton Beginner Bits, looking at dub percussion. And I will see you next time. Ciao.